Howdy, yokes, and welcome back to Bacon and Eggs. I am Tyler Carlin.
And I'm Ethan Edgehill.
And today we're going viral.
Or maybe we're just outbidding on people on eBay.
So grab your loot
And wreck it!
because today we're bringing you
Ralph Breaks the Internet.
Ralph Breaks the Internet.
With a very special guest.
We do have a very special guest. He's the nicest human in the world. He is the world's foremost expert on Wreck-It Ralph, the original, and he's super friendly. I cannot stress this point enough. If you haven't bought your WotsoVideos merch, do it now.
I have.
This man,
my WotsoVideos merch shipped today.
He deserves your time, energy, and money. Our guest today is Isaac Carlson of WotsoVideos, from WotsoVideos, is WotsoVideos. Isaac, welcome back to the show. We're super happy to have you.
I'm happy to be here, Tyler. I had a great time discussing Harry Potter, but Ralph Breaks the Internet is much more my speed in the Disney realm.
So what we've got today is a guy that is a scholar on Wreck-It Ralph, the first one, and a guy who has not seen Wreck-It Ralph in 6 years.
You haven't seen Wreck-It Ralph in 6 years?
I have not seen it since shortly after it came out of the theaters.
Really?
Yep.
I told you to watch it today.
I didn't. Fun fact.
I think my exact text was, Ethan, you should revisit the original, but if you don't, it's fine because the movie didn't expect you to. And tell me, Ethan, did the movie expect you to watch the original?
No. Unless you wanted to know who Vanellope was, or like immediately recognize what game she's from. No.
Sugar Rush.
Yeah. But at first I was like, what is it that you do?
She's a racer.
She's a racer.
Yeah.
Anyway, Isaac, good to be back. Good to have you back. How's Wisconsin?
Dude, Wisconsin is cooling off more and more every day. It's getting down to the 20s right now. Yeah, so...
I love the fact that that's cooling off and not, oh my god, I'm gonna die.
No, I'm still just wearing a fleece pretty much every day, and I just live with that.
Oh my god.
Let me tell you about Virginia. It gets cold here. It doesn't get that kind of cold, but like it gets cold here. But when it gets below freezing, everybody freaks out.
I freak out.
Like below freezing is when people are like, "All right, it's cold, guys."
It's parka weather. It's thick fur-lined boot
Got
weather.
people walking around in ski pants, like to the store.
Khaki weather. I'll tell you one thing. It does get cold. Like we have days in the teens and in the single digits every year. We never go below 0.
We do. There's one day of like -4 pretty much every year.
See,
and it's
is
the
that
apocalypse.
Wisconsin?
Yeah. See, in Wisconsin, we have it where we'll be getting consistent wind chills in like the -16s. And when
oh my
god.
god.
On my campus, there's a river that divides the campus. So when you go across the river, it gets even colder out there for the wind chill. So like we have one of like the coldest recordings in like the United States on that river, on that bridge. So yeah, but classes never cancel. They never cancel for cold weather. But I had that happen in high school before.
Yeah, we had that happen a lot in high school.
Yeah,
it was like, there's a chance of snow, shut the city down.
I'm a big Packers fan, and so that like last couple games of the season every year, that last home game or the first playoff game, it's always like, well, and if you look at the wind chill, the temperature's the same, whether it's Celsius or Fahrenheit, -40 at kickoff. And I'm like, oh my god.
Well, let's get into Ralph. So this movie was released November 21st, 2018. That's 5 days ago as of this recording, on a $175 estimated $1 million budget. It has so far not made that back at $127,042,373 worldwide, which is an oddly specific number for, when our budget is not clear. Thank you. This movie got an 86% critic rating on Rotten Tomatoes, 67% audience rating on Rotten Tomatoes, and a solid 71 on Metacritic. Do you see those scores? Where do you guys come from on those scores?
I am unsurprised about any of those scores, to tell you the truth. Metacritic,
I'm surprised by the audience.
I'm not. You think it's low?
Okay. I think it's low.
You think it's low? I definitely can see there being people like, okay, I mean,
Yeah.
well, whatever.
I think for the people that are like really excited about movies and animation, I can see why they would just find it as an average or passable film.
See, that's surprising to me because I think I'm pretty about movies and animation, and I thought personally that this film may have been an improvement on the original for its cultural significance, and as far as animation and film quality goes, I think it was all there. The only thing I think it was lacking in, which is unfortunately like the greatest cardinal sin you can make in filmmaking, is that the central conflict was a little dumb.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would personally, I'm big into film. I'm not super hot into animation usually. I've been notoriously harsh on animated films, and I have my reasons. But this one actually surprised me as far as like an animated movie goes. I don't necessarily think it broke ground as far as animation. It was pretty,
No.
but it's
Yeah,
not
it was
like
pretty.
it's no Pixar.
No, and I think that there was actually a lazy moment in the film. You'll notice it was almost like a TV show. I'm going to go ahead and spoil this. At the end, when there's the Ralph monster, and it had like Ralph was in like a muted color when he was the clone or the virus or whatever. And then when it became like Super Ralph, they were all just sort of muted colors. I didn't feel like I could see enough of a difference in his overalls and his shirt and his hair and his skin tone to where it was actually like frustrating to me how neutral colored he was. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from.
Or it was like on a cartoon, they would do the same thing where like I'm thinking of the anchovies episode of SpongeBob, where they like make the crowd and it's not just a bunch of individual anchovies. It's literally just like, it looks like a big blue blob.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I get what you're talking about.
I think that's just red is such a strong color that like the shirt, because you essentially zoom it out and it becomes pixels, and it's like his shirt is just so strong compared to everything else that's going on that like the shirt comes out more than like the off maroon overalls or the skin tone. I mean, skin tone is pretty neutral in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like the film was pretty and had a lot of detail to it, but it's still no Land of the Dead Coco in detail and like beauty.
No, not at all.
No, it's not a Bob Parr shirt.
No,
detail.
Yeah, animated detail it may have lacked, but like content detail, like attention to detail was phenomenal in this movie. There's all kinds of stuff going on, all kinds of references that like if you blink, you're gonna miss stuff.
I agree with you there. And what I think was so impressive here was internet references, like meme culture. The whole point of it, and this movie digs a lot on it. Like Ralph becomes a meme lord, right? That's like the plot for a good chunk of it.
Yeah.
I think it's so interesting that they were able to keep it relevant when meme culture is constantly evolving. Like, the Tide Pods thing was this year. And this movie has been in production for longer than just this year. You know what I'm saying? Like, the commentary they were making, like even the way that they were presented and stuff, it was, I don't think BuzzFeed's not what it was probably when this movie started being made, or maybe it is. I don't know. I don't know how BuzzFeed is these days. I don't personally keep track of it. But you know what I'm saying? Where it was like the way that they were able to present all this content, it was still relevant. It was still interesting, despite the fact that animated movies take a long time to write and make.
Yeah, I think it was really good at taking a snapshot of what the internet is today without going, like you said, into like the very specifics or the nitty gritty of what the culture is like at this current time. Like, I liked how Ralph wasn't actually on YouTube. He was on some other generic platform. Even though they were making references to a lot of sites, they were talking more about things that are long-lasting trends over the last like decade and probably in the next decade instead of going too deep into it.
Right. And that is something that it did a good job of, I think, is showing the internet as a snapshot in the late 2000 teens and not just like a snapshot of the internet on 11/21/2018.
Yeah.
Right.
Like it didn't try to be too up to the minute, but it also wasn't. My big concern was, especially when I saw the trailer, and I wasn't overly impressed by the trailers. When I saw the trailers and saw them showing things like BuzzTube and BuzzFace, I was like, this is just gonna be some like baby boomer anti-internet like slog, and it's just gonna be bad, poorly written, sledgehammer internet jokes. And it wasn't that at all.
It wasn't that. And just to build off a point you were making just a second ago, I want to talk about, you were talking about how they snapshotted internet culture in the late 2010s really well, and that builds off of what they did really well in the first film, which was like mid-80s arcade culture. I'm guessing. I wasn't there for the mid-80s, so I don't know. But where it was like, you've got Pac-Man and Sonic and all of these characters, and that's who he was, 30 years ago. But you've got all these characters supporting Ralph, but you've also got, instead of Donkey Kong, you've got Wreck-It Ralph, and instead of whatever generic racing game Vanellope's supposed to be from, you've got Vanellope from Sugar Rush instead of, I don't even know what her obvious comparison is. But so they did a good job of that by making familiar enough characters with BuzzTube being, I've said like 100 times, being a combination of BuzzFeed and YouTube very clearly, but also its own sort of generic, just throw buzzwords at an internet search title and you've got it, you know?
Yeah.
And then speaking on the second point you were making, Ethan, it wasn't just like an internet slog. I thought that it did a very good job of teaching important internet safety and internet culture to a generation that is growing up with it from the perspective of a generation that knows to be cautious.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the thing, is it felt like it was written by our generation and not like the last generation. I know that there are a lot of, you know, kind of, for lack of a better word, like old heads hanging around Disney and everything, doing a lot of the writing and doing a lot of these things. And so I was very concerned that it was going to be something like that. It wasn't something. It was actually the exact opposite of what I thought it was going to be, which I thought you were going to get traditional Disney, like fairly compelling, heartwarming story, but it's just going to be slightly out of touch. But it was very in touch with what I would consider not Disney's best story.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm being really harsh on this movie. I did genuinely like this movie. I liked it a lot more than I thought I was going to.
I would give it a binary 1. Would you agree?
Not really.
Oh.
You don't have to see it.
I just disagree so much. I think that if you are the intended audience for this film, you have to see it. I think it teaches young kids about safety and internet success as a career. Every kid in the world, if you go to like career day at the kindergarten or the middle school or whatever, every single kid wants to be a YouTuber. Every single one. And I think that this movie does a really good job of teaching kids, like, it's possible, it's achievable, and I think that's an important lesson to teach because it is achievable. A lot of people do it. Isaac, you're doing it right now. But it's also dangerous and a lot more work than you think. And it's fleeting. If you're a viral success, you're a fleeting success.
Right, and the reality is that, like, viral content isn't going to have the same name when these kids have grown up and done it. YouTube probably isn't still going to be the chief medium. I feel like we're reaching an end to YouTube. Maybe
I disagree.
Maybe not in the next couple years, but in the next
stronger
like
than ever.
10 years, I think it's just going to merge into something else. I think that we're due for another leap forward on that front. And I don't think that you could treat this movie like a PSA. I just don't. Like,
Isaac, I'm curious your thoughts, Isaac, from the perspective of a YouTuber.
I think I never really got that type of vibe from it, that it was like trying to show like the pros and cons of like being like an internet celebrity, but I feel like it actually kind of does though. Like, now that you brought up that point, it did show that like Ralph could become this success, but there's also the negative comments and there's the danger of like viruses and things like that. It shows the positives and negatives of internet culture, but that wasn't like the thing I took away the most from the movie at all. Like, if you're looking for that type of message, I think you can find it, but I was much more focused on Ralph and Vanellope's relationship than that.
yeah, I think the motto of this, or the moral of this movie, is not it's okay to be a YouTuber. I think the moral of this movie is you should probably talk to your friends about things.
Yeah.
Like, things go better when you have the tough conversations.
And that's a lesson, personally, Ethan, you and I have been learning a lot, especially since we started the podcast, but even more in light of recent events, which I'm not going to go into here because they're not relevant. But I agree with you. I think the movie does a very good job of showing that it's important to have the tough conversations, and it's important to, I agree with you.
And things just go better when you have those conversations. Like, Ralph and Vanellope didn't talk to each other, and everything got horrible for both of them.
Right. Like, seriously, Elsa, or Anna, I have ice powers.
It's like they're trying to hammer this message home. Like, talk to your friends, talk to your family, listen to your friends, listen to your family. Because, like, if Moana's dad had been understanding, things would have gone different. If Anna and Elsa just talked to each other, things would have gone different.
And to build on that, if Moana's dad had been like, we can't go out to sea because we used to be travelers and we're not anymore for a good reason.
Yeah.
Right, if he had just explained that to her, and then if she was like, hold on though, I have the heart of Te Fiti.
I don't know if you were aware, I have the heart of
And he would have just been like, okay, cool, we can just wrangle this armada up. We still have the ships. Like, let's go.
You're the person.
Also, why didn't the grandma say, hey, son, trust me, it's the real deal. I saw it happen. But, like, she didn't chime in at all, even when she was on her deathbed.
I know. Ridiculous.
Right. Instead, Moana learns that lesson from banging sticks against a drum.
Moana.
What I was really impressed with, what I think Disney did really well in this movie, is take themselves kind of out of the driver's seat a little bit and be willing to kind of poke fun at themselves and get a little meta with things.
I agree with you.
I think they did an excellent job with that.
Ethan, I'm curious your perspective and Isaac's perspective on this. So, speaking of Disney in the film, they've obviously got like a stranglehold scene. Now, personally, I'm not a super nostalgic person when it comes to Disney. That's not to say I don't like the Disney Renaissance films or the films I grew up with. That's just to say that I like them because they're quality content, not because I liked them when I was a child. Does that make sense?
Right. And I don't think this movie's trying to play off nostalgia at all. I think that most of the stuff they showed is still pretty relevant. Like the fact that Star Wars is involved in like omdisney.com.
Oh, my Disney.
Yeah.
I agree with you, and that's the point that I was making. Now, Isaac, you're like a Disney stan, right?
A Disney nerd.
Oh yeah, I'm
Yeah.
deep into all things Disney.
Oh my Disney,
Yeah.
right? So I'm curious. I thought that the princess scene and the Disney scenes were nuanced and in an interesting way. I thought Disney coming out for the first time in years and saying, you know, we've got this princess culture. Anna and Elsa are part of it. Moana's part of it, and Vanellope is part of it. And now that Vanellope's here, not only do we have these princesses, but now they have loungewear outfits, which I think is more, there's more to that than just like a silly scene in the movie. I think there's a lot of merchandising and stuff that can come from that.
Oh, I want a Elsa just let it go.
Just let it go.
Sweatshirt. Like,
Exactly. I want it so bad. Now, Isaac, I'm curious, your perspective as a Disney nerd, what did that scene mean to you? And then Ethan, I want your perspective as somebody who's not super into the parks and the Disney culture. I'm curious, two perspectives on this. So
I'll let Isaac go first.
All right. So I thought it was very cool of all of them combining everything Disney and all the properties that they have under their belt currently. Like the Disney princesses, like switching outfits, I think is kind of interesting because it's trying to like make the princesses appeal to more of the average girl instead of putting them onto a pedestal like I feel like they have been for a long time. What I find interesting, though, is I enjoy the meta jokes on Disney and Disney poking fun at itself, but at the same time, I'm getting a little grinded down by it just by someone who consumes and overanalyzes all of the Disney films that are released. Is that's a huge trend that's been occurring in the Disney revival, is that they're constantly trying to subvert what they've been doing for decades and trying to play off that with villains like Hans and trying to build on the relationship of Anna and Elsa, which is good, but then making jokes about it, like poking fun at Moana, that if she's like, she has an animal sidekick and she's the daughter of a chief, that means she's a princess. So they're doing a lot of things recently that are trying to like rebuild their brand and try to like establish themselves on their own. So from that perspective, like I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with it. I thought it was really funny when C-3PO came in and was like trying to bring them out for the next quiz. But at the same time, like it just feels a little tired just as someone who is looking at it all the time and like appreciates some of those like old traditions. So that's my perspective on it.
Interesting. Ethan, I'm extremely curious about yours because I did not have Isaac's experience, so I'm curious about yours.
So yeah, I don't see that happening at all. I guess that I'm just missing it, or maybe I'm thinking of Star Wars as Star Wars and thinking of Pixar as Pixar. But this was like, especially the scene with the princesses in their, backstage room or whatever, that is like Disney trademark. Like the castle comes before the movie. Like those are the princesses. Like that doesn't have anything to do with Star Wars to me. Star Wars is still Star Wars. Like, and so for me, it was cool to get to see them pull the curtain back a little bit and for them to acknowledge the like, well, this is what makes a princess like in a movie. I thought that was really cool. It's actually one of my favorite scenes in the movie. And I am notoriously kind of lukewarm on the whole Disney thing. I feel like we give too much credit to Disney as a studio and we give them their movies a kind of a blind loyalty sometimes. That stuff kind of bothers me a little bit, but this one, I felt like Disney acknowledged a lot of things that are going on for me as kind of an outsider. And I like I said, it was one of my favorite scenes of the movie. I thought it was really funny. I thought it was done really well. And even for them to be like, we don't understand Merida, she's from the other studio.
I love that they changed her line from the preview where she was like, I turned my mom into a bear and blah, blah, blah. It was like a totally new thing that you couldn't understand at all. I thought it was great.
I think maybe part of the reason I didn't enjoy it as much is because I saw it in the trailers beforehand, because I enjoyed it a lot the first time I saw it, but I just don't think it like had as big an impact on me once I saw it in the film. Because, because I always follow all of the trailers that release and all the clips and everything, even though I know that it's always going to expose some parts of the movie for you, some of the funny aspects. So it's not like I didn't find it hilarious and stuff, but it just in the moment, I guess.
But that's what I'm saying, is I think that your perspective is perfectly valid, and I think that scenes like that were more for people like me, who they need to kind of resell on the whole Disney thing, and not for the people that were like, I'm gonna watch this movie 8 times regardless of whether or not it's good.
I'm gonna buy the VR experience when I go to Disney World, because that's
like, if this movie was bad, like, I would have no problems sitting here on this episode and ripping it apart in front of you. Like, I would have no qualms about that. But I'm not, because it's not a bad movie. And I did think that was one of my favorite scenes. I think the thing with the songs was like the fact they all acknowledged, like, you got to stare into some water and then you get your song.
Yeah.
I loved how they were able to very subtly sort of pun their own character. Or, like Mulan said something about reflections, and there was a bunch of just like really subtle pieces that were, they were, on the nose, but they were, I don't know, I thought it was interesting. Isaac, I think it's really funny how you just said, I'm going to buy the VR experience when I go to Disney World. Like, buying the VR experience was the next step. But like people like Ethan and I just don't plan on going to Disney World. Like that's the missing step for us.
Right. Like,
right?
I'll go back to Disney World if I find myself in Orlando with some cash and nothing to do.
Right.
I do really want to go to Toy Story Land. Like, I do want to go to
too.
Pixar Pier or whatever it is. But it's
And
not like a priority in my life. I'm not sitting here counting down the days till my next Disney trip. And I mean, even before we did the show and came in contact with a lot more people that do that, one of our best friends back in college was that guy. Like,
he was
3 weeks in the parks every year. Like, that kind of guy. And I love that guy. I didn't get it then. I still don't get it, and that's fine. Like,
Hunter, we love you. I know you're listening.
Yeah, that's Hunter Wells. That's my boy. He's like one of the other nicest people I ever met in my life. And maybe there's something to that Disney parks thing.
Right. Maybe that's why everybody's so nice.
Maybe I'm sitting up here in Mount Crumpet just being a Grinch about it, and that's what's like making my life. That's what's making me less of a nice person.
Dude, yeah.
Is it? I don't buy into the parks.
I am all into the parks. I got a week at Disney World and a week at Disneyland planned for next year. So
that is insane.
I do kind of want to go to Disneyland. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
All I know is when we were freshmen in college, Greg Farley was trying to get in a Disney college program to go to Disneyland because Disneyland had the World of Color, the fountain.
Yes. Yeah. That was a light show at California Adventure.
Is it still there? Is it awesome?
So I've been to Disney World a plethora of times. I've been to Disneyland twice. I've never got to go to California Adventure. So I will let you know once I go do that, which is why
What is California Adventure?
So that's like the second park at like the Disneyland Resort. So there's Disneyland, and then across from it is California Adventure, which was like the original concept was it's going to be like a tour of California and be able to experience it. And it's kind of devolved into like lots of different movies.
Disney. So it's like Universal in Orlando, where there's like the Islands of Adventure and I don't know the other part where Harry Potter is. I only go to the Harry Potter part. I don't care about the rest of it.
Yeah, it's like that.
Which one has the roller coaster with the tubes?
The tubes. Like, do you mean like the Incredicoaster?
Is that what it's called now?
Yeah, it used to be California.
Next to the Ferris wheel.
Yeah.
That one. Is that California next to the Ferris wheel?
Yep, that whole carousel and Incredicoaster and all like Mission Breakout, the Galaxy, Guardians of the Galaxy ride. That's all in California Adventure.
Does the roller coaster still have a giant Mickey on it? And does the Ferris wheel still have a giant Mickey on it?
Yeah, the Ferris wheel does. Mm-hmm.
Okay, because that is like one of the quintessential like photos in all of theme park.
Oh yeah.
Is
Mickey on a Ferris wheel?
The Ferris wheel on the roller coaster, like, you would recognize this view that I'm looking at. Hang on. It's like over some water. I'm posting it in the Skype. You would recognize this, like, if it sends.
Yeah, like, I'd say the most photographed location in theme parks is Cinderella's Castle, but I'm sure on the West Coast, the Ferris wheel is one of the top.
Cinderella's Castle is a cool thing.
Oh.
I'm not wowed by many things in Disney World. I won't lie.
Yeah.
I'm always like, yep, somebody built that. There was like an architect and a bunch of builders and they put it together. Like, I don't see them as like artistic constructions. I see them as like planned constructions, which, they are artistic. I'm wrong here. It's just hard for me to see it that way. But like when you see Cinderella's Castle at the end of the like designed street to make it look big and majestic and beautiful, It really is that cool.
It's
And yeah, the Disney parks are exceptional theme parks. Like, they may not be what I'm looking for out of a theme park. I'm partial to, like, a bunch of roller coasters. I don't really care if it all is, like, laid out perfectly nicely, but, like, the Disney parks are laid out very well. They all have the big thing in the middle.
Yeah.
Like, there's the tree and the hat and the globe and the castle, and, like, it's all very... It adds to the experience, for sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's talk about this movie. You mentioned something that I wanted to bring up, because you started talking about the VR experience. The first hour and some change of this movie is a better adaptation of Ready Player One than the Ready Player One movie.
Cool.
I'll say it.
Brutal.
I love the Ready Player
What-
One movie, but I think that, like, I noticed so many things that were, like, very similar out of the book that I was like, okay, I get this. This is what Wade was talking about.
Wade Watts.
Wade Owen
Tell me
Watts.
about, you talking about when they first go into the internet? Tell me more. I'm
Just, yeah,
I'm
like
confused.
when they from the arcade thing to, like, when they first go into the internet, I didn't write down specific examples, and now they're all fleeting from me for some reason. But there was just, like, a lot of callbacks that I had to Ready Player One, the book, like, right down to the race. Like,
There's no race in the
there's
book.
no race in the movie. In the book, there's only in the movie. Dang! Now I've confused myself.
Is it a better adaptation of the movie than the movie?
I think that's that's what I'm getting. I think this is a better adaptation of Ready Player One, the movie.
than Ready Player One,
Yeah.
the movie.
Yeah. This movie did a lot of things well. I think it did the nostalgia factor pretty well. I think it did the internet thing pretty well. It did a lot of things wrong. It still has Sarah Silverman in it.
Oh, I thought she was
Oh,
wonderful.
no, if I ever have to hear that voice again, it's too soon. This is why I avoided watching the first one again. I remembered. As soon as she started talking, I was like, oh my god, she sounds like gravel on a chalkboard.
Yeah, she does, but that's what Vanellope sounds like.
Right, but I don't like that. I don't fall into the trap of that's what Vanellope sounds like. I'm like, you could have done it differently.
You could have gotten, what's the girl that does Elsa?
Adina Menzel?
Yeah.
No, the one that does Anna.
Kristen Bell.
Yeah.
Kristen Bell. You could have gotten Kristen Bell.
Could have gotten Tara Strong.
Tara Strong.
Yeah, I
She
would have
could've come out
preferred
there and
Tessa Nettic.
That would have been an interesting cat. I would have been excited about. But
I would have been ecstatic.
No,
if
she
Tessa Nettic
is
had that job.
consistently like the one part of the casting in these movies where I'm like, okay, because like the rest of the voice acting was excellent. I love John
Isaac,
C.
are you
Riley. in these
raising your
movies.
hand? Isaac, are you raising your
no,
hand?
no,
I
I've
think
got a like twin
I've got a
size
hutch.
bed above me, so I'm just gonna
man.
rest my
I was
head.
like,
yeah.
I was like, man, you could just talk. You don't have to. Oh man, yeah, he's got a hutch. You have a neat little set under there, right? Is that your sink behind you? Is that your dorm?
Yeah, I'm in my dorm. Yeah.
I'm so sad.
Sink, the fridge, and then my YouTube setup's over there.
Oh, look at
And then
that.
my computers are over here. But I have to use my laptop.
Is that an iMac with a second Mac screen?
No, they're two LG screens.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of them looked like an iMac, and I was like, oh my god. Watson's doing really well.
WotsoVideos is making the money. Maybe don't buy his merch. Buy our merch.
Got that iMac Pro with the Thunderbolt screen.
But not an Apple user myself. I'm full Windows and Android.
Oh.
You have an Android phone? Get out of town. Is that
Yeah,
real?
Google Pixel 2 XL.
I knew it. As soon as you said
Oh
Android, I was
my
like, he's
God.
got a Google Pixel. He's full YouTube. He's gone full YouTube. I have Google Wi-Fi, and it changes lives.
Lives?
Yeah, Google Wi-Fi is the next that real-ish.
That real.
That good, as the youth would say. It does not yeet. So, how do you think this one stacks up to Wreck-It Ralph, the first one? Both of you.
I think this movie is a compelling story, and I think it's a logical continuation of the previous one. I love how they took the final line of the first movie and made it central conflict of the second one. But I feel like the first...
What was the final line of the first movie?
Okay, so...
I don't remember.
So, Ralph gets picked up by the Nicelanders, and Ralph is looking over to Vanellope's game, and he says, if she likes me, how bad of guy can I be? So the whole second movie
man.
is based on that his entire reality is solely based on the affirmation from Vanellope, and which...
Right. His
whole insecurity is based off of that 6-year-long relationship with... So I
Well,
thought that
and
was
of course he's the villain this time, so...
yeah, but I feel like the first movie is a much tighter story and is more direct path. And I never felt like I was like questioning when it was going to end or anything like that. And the second one, I feel like started out really, really tight and streamlined, but it kind of devolved in the second half.
Yeah,
I think
I'll
that-
agree with you there.
Sorry, go ahead.
I think the third act is a little like, what on earth is going on? I'm not like in favor of Vanellope leaving Sugar Rush for Slaughter Race. Like, I get why she did. I get the character arc and I get what they were going for. But like, that's not what video game characters do. That's what Turbo did. That was a problem.
That is absolutely what video game characters do. That makes 100% sense because that adds reality to things like Fortnite, okay?
Yeah.
That is what this did, is it lends reality to games like that, where it's like a little bit more open source, a little bit like you could pretty much create whatever you want as a character, as a skin, as whatever, and they would totally sell Vanellope for like $35 as Vintage Racer DLC. 100%. I was like, this is the most accurate thing this whole movie is portrayed, is the fact that this is why characters come into different video games.
But the problem is, Ethan, and you didn't watch the first movie the same day you watched the second movie, is that the first movie is about Turbo going from like Speed Racer, the main character from essentially Speed Racer, going into Sugar Rush and deleting Vanellope's code or removing Vanellope's code.
Oh man, you started talking about Turbo. I thought you were talking about the movie with the racing snails.
Oh
no.
Different Turbo.
No.
You said Turbo, and I was like, I didn't even remember Turbo was a character in the first. I almost said the first Avengers, the first Wreck-It Ralph, and I was like, the snail?
He's supposed to be Speed Racer.
Yeah, I was
right?
just like, I'm gonna let this one go. You guys go ahead with that one. Whatever metaphor you're coming at here.
Yeah.
No, the conflict of the first one is that Turbo leaves his game, goes into Sugar Rush, and then becomes King Candy. And Vanellope was the princess of Sugar Rush, and he like takes her position and takes her code, literally removes her code from the game and like sets it to the side. So when she's glitching, she thinks it's because she's like a glitch in the game and not because that's her superpower.
Yeah, and the entire arc of Ralph is that he has to learn that he can't change his purpose in the game and that he needs to take on that career and that role so he can allow the people that are in his life to continue to live and to thrive. So by having Vanellope just suddenly leave and just saying, oh yeah, Shank put in my code, it's kind of weird that like those two ideas are juxtaposed together if you would watch them back to back.
Yeah, I also think Shank was awesome.
Yeah, she was great.
Yeah.
We need more Shank.
They're just
in
like
every movie.
these hardcore like murderous, people in this video game, kill the players, and they're just like, hey, is what we're doing right? Like, should we just kind of let people have this car occasionally? Like,
right.
And this, and they did get kind of Pixar-y here with this movie, because like Pixar's thing for a long time was like telling the story behind everyday objects, and this movie did a really good job of that, of like of explaining, an almost a mythology for how the internet works.
Yeah.
And it gives you like a very tactile idea of, how websites work, how searches happen. And they did a very good job of bringing it back every time. Like things that happened in the internet had real world consequences. Like Ralph would rip people out of their cars and everything, and it would have, a DNS error.
Yep.
And
Right.
I think the fact they continued to tie that back, they did a very good job of that, where they could have easily just been like, yeah, it's just action that happens. So that is
Right.
something I think this movie did exceptionally well.
When you initially said that you were going to compare it to Pixar, I thought you were going to say that the whole point of the story was that it was like a buddy film, and that it was like the relationship was propelling the two characters like through the story.
Like Finding Nemo.
Yeah, like
I could definitely see that as well. I mean, and I thought that this about the first one too, that it's like a little bit more Pixar than it is Disney, and that's the way I felt about Brave in the inverse, was like Brave is a little bit more Disney than it is Pixar. And then there's Big Hero 6.
Big Hero 6 is gold.
People that underrate Big Hero 6 make me mad.
You underrate Wreck-It Ralph.
No, I don't. I just don't. It's not as good as... I'm not even that crazy about Frozen. It's not as good as Frozen. It's not as good as Moana. It's not as good as Big Hero 6.
ooh, I don't know about that.
It's tough to compare to Frozen and Moana because the target demographic for both of those, like Frozen and Moana, I think at the end of the day, and I don't like to report this, were made for young girls. And I think Big Hero 6 and Wreck-It Ralph were made for children. And for that reason, I would say that Wreck-It Ralph and Big Hero 6 get more credit.
I just didn't like Wreck-It Ralph as much as the rest of them. I think that Big Hero 6's target is less children than Wreck-It Ralph.
Here's
why
I
was
think
the
you didn't
I was the only unaccompanied adult in this movie when I went to see it.
Here's what I think you're missing about Wreck-It Ralph, the first one, if you didn't revisit it. My experience was I remembered the first act. I remembered the setup. I remembered, Ralph talking in the like villain support group, but I didn't remember the nuance of the second and third act, which I think makes Ralph that much better. I think it's a very compelling film. Like the message and the relationship between Vanellope and Ralph, it really is extremely interesting. And like I completely forgot the arc with Felix and the Sergeant Calhoun. Yes.
Yeah.
I completely forgot that arc. I forgot about like the bugs in the game. But I think Ralph it's got excellent voice acting. It's an excellent story. It's got its own contained mythology that I think is really interesting. And I would encourage you to revisit it.
Okay.
Because
you're
really
the
is
guy
excellent.
that's sitting around all the time saying that Frozen is like the best movie ever made. So I don't even want to hear it. Like,
I love Frozen. It's hard for me to say that Ralph is better than Frozen. I don't think Frozen's the best movie ever made. I think people underrate Frozen because it is overrated.
no one underrates Frozen.
No,
no one underrates Frozen.
I feel like that's why everyone always underrates it, because everyone always thinks that it's super overrated. But I feel like it's only hyped up in the mainstream by people who are like little kids. Like, it's always just like, oh, it's just for like little girls who still enjoy it. But I feel like I love Frozen.
Frozen is real deal, extremely good.
Like that was.
Yeah, it is not a 90% though. It's not a 9 out of 10.
would say it
is
is.
not a 9 out of 10.
I would give that movie
There's
a 9
no
out of
world
10.
in which Frozen is a 9 out of 10. This is the same conversation I had to freaking have with Seamus about Incredibles 2. Incredibles 2 is like a 94% Rotten Tomato score. Incredibles 2 is a 6 maybe.
Frozen is that much better than Incredibles 2. I would
Frozen
say
is not that much better than Incredibles 2. Frozen is not
I would
a
say
9
Frozen
out of 10.
is 30 points better.
I could
than Incredibles 2.
Tyler.
You got to knock off 2.5 points immediately for the fact, and I feel the same way kind of about this movie. You got to knock off 2.5 points immediately for the fact that Anna and Elsa's relationship is so messed up that they don't feel like they can even talk to each other, and that's the whole like pointless plot of the movie. Is it like if you just had a conversation, a simple 5-minute conversation? Hey, by the way, I have ice hands.
Okay, but there's the whole point that Elsa is scarred because she almost killed her sister for revealing and experimenting with her powers originally, and then that was supported by her father for like a decade. So with all
and
of
that's
that
the other
trauma
part of that
festering-
conversation is like, parents, stop bullying your kids because they make mistakes.
Right,
Elsa's
but they did.
Elsa's like 6.
This is like monarch-driven Norway, Ethan. This isn't today.
I'm just
This is
saying,
in
like,
the past. There weren't books on parenting.
I'm saying the whole conflict of Frozen, you gotta, like, there's a lot of parts of the conflict of Frozen that are problematic and that just do not hold up and will not hold up over the test of time. You gotta knock 2.5 points off for that immediately. And that's the thing, is I'm not giving the movie the castle bump. I'm not giving the movie the castle bump. I'm not giving this movie the castle bump. I'm not giving Incredibles 2 the lamp bump. I'm not gonna do it. I think we all need to sit down and have a conversation about how we glorify Disney and Pixar. I think we need to have that conversation.
Okay.
I think
you're
that for the future of movies to continue on a good track, we need to get like some trust-busting legislation in on Disney.
That's probably not a bad
And
idea.
2,
but I mean,
we need to have a conversation with the fan bases like, hey, by the way, stop blindly trusting things.
Okay.
What did you think of Bolt?
Bolt was apparently 10 years ago, and I made a claim the other day that Wreck-It Ralph was the worst Disney animation movie of the last 10 years. And Bolt unseated that because Bolt was a crap heap.
Bolt was like, it's always like fun-ish to watch. Like, I never watch it and I'm like, oh, that was like horrible. But I never am like, wow, I want to work on like a 15-hour video to like describe this is movie.
This is the difference between me and you, Isaac, is that you're like, every time I watch Bolt, I never watch it to like, enjoy the really good movie. I just never watch Bolt.
Right. Yeah, I think I've seen half of Bolt. I'll be honest with you.
Bolt was the most DreamWorks movie ever made by Pixar. They were like, Walt Disney presents.
Disney.
I mean, yeah, Disney. Sorry,
Yeah,
but it's
right.
the most DreamWorks movie ever made by Disney. It was like Walt Disney Animation features famous people.
Right.
John Travolta and Miley Cyrus.
Miley Cyrus, teen sensation.
She's gonna last long.
Hannah Montana.
Yeah, she's gonna last forever. I mean, she was Hannah Montana on their network at that time. It wasn't like they were pulling
that's what I'm
somebody
saying is, and
from
there was
Nickelodeon.
a trailer preceding this movie for like Uglyville or whatever it is, the new DreamWorks or Illumination movie, one of the two. That's like, we've got Beyonce and Pitbull in a movie.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah. Oh, dude. I had to watch like 10 trailers or something. It was a grind to just get to Ralph Breaks the Internet. But the only thing that I freaked out over was when How to Train Your Dragon 3 trailer came on. I got chills. I was so
It looks
hyped.
really good.
Oh,
It looks really good.
It looks so
God, I
good.
love How to Train Your Dragon.
I was actually in my Discord during the previews because I was sitting in the back row in like the corner on my phone. And I was in my Discord during the previews, like rating the trailers as they were coming on. I was like, and most of the trailers I'd seen before because I've seen like a new movie every week for the past month.
Yeah.
But that Kid Arthur movie looks terrible. Like, terrible. Secret Life of Pets 2 is probably gonna be terrible.
Oh, but it'll make $1 billion easy. Unfortunately.
Secret Life of Pets. Ty called it last week or 2 weeks ago whenever we saw The Grinch. Secret Life of Pets 1 was worth it just so they could get Max right in the new Grinch movie.
And they did. Max was perfect.
Yeah, the whole Secret
Grinch.
Life
Did
of
you
Pets
see it?
was
No, I
them
haven't seen
just
it
trying to figure out dogs. Like, the Illumination has dogs figured out. Dogs in animated movies. Like, they can...
At least one dog per animated
Yeah,
movie.
if all the dogs in future Illumination movies are as delightful as Max was in The Grinch, the world is just a little bit better off.
I'll tell you, I'm concerned that the children in my life are gonna grow up Illumination fan, because like we can't. You're talking about King Disney, Ethan. You're talking about the Castle Effect. Illumination movies make more money than Disney movies. Like they just like the Minions movie and the Despicable Me movies and Secret
Because
Life of Pets.
they're just
They make absurd money.
yeah because they're just vanilla extract in a cookie. Like they are the most basic movies you could possibly come across.
Yep.
Right, and I'll say
The
this,
Minions don't even
Gru-
talk.
I know they don't.
but
Gru is like a compelling character. Banana.
Oh my god, my favorite part of Wreck-It Ralph 2. You said this and made me think of it. Is Baby Groot.
Oh my God,
Oh,
Baby
that was
Groot
really
is so
funny.
good. I am Groot.
They found a great use for Baby Groot in this movie. I did really like the Oh My Disney scene. And as soon as they zoomed in on like the Oh My Disney park, I was like, okay, there goes the movie. I've been enjoying this up till this point, but this is where they're gonna ruin it. And they didn't.
I know. I felt like they sat down and they saw you and I's conversation. Because a lot of this movie, I felt like, Isaac, was for you and the Super Carlin brothers and Seamus, where it was like, we know you're making theories. We know you talk about it. We know that you spend days analyzing each scene, and we're just gonna shove it back in your face. We're gonna draw the curtain back, and it's really just a movie studio, guys. That's all it is, right? But I felt like that scene at the same time was like, how do we get Ethan and Ty to really buy in?
It is absolutely what the OM Disney scene was they saw my conversations where I frequently quietly complained to Ty behind the corners about how much people love Disney. And they were
Right.
like, we got to get guys like this on board.
How do we get them? How do we figure them out? And it worked, man. Oh,
Yeah.
They did it all in one.
They had a lot of things that were accurate about the internet, okay? But I have one internet related complaint. Okay, Ralph was able
Snapchat's
to.
not a website.
What?
Snapchat's not a website.
It's on the internet. No, I have one complaint, okay? Ralph was able to pick up the Pinterest pin and pin something without logging in.
Without logging in. That
Because
is an
every time,
interesting
because
point.
here's how it goes. Me, Google searches image something, okay? Me, clicks on the first link, redirects me to Pinterest. Hey, by the way, you have to log into Pinterest to even think about seeing this photo, bro. And I was waiting
Do you
for
have a
it.
Pinterest account?
I was waiting for it. Was like, no, I don't have a Pinterest account.
Do you,
Yeah,
Isaac?
I think I do, but I don't ever go on it.
Okay, so nobody's ever gonna buy me a wedding dress, nor is anybody gonna buy me a wedding ring, like an engagement ring. Like I'm not gonna wear
I
like a
was like-
Tiffany engagement ring. So what in God's name do I need Pinterest for when I just have Google Images?
You know who uses Pinterest? Real big Pinterest guy?
Who?
Gary Vaynerchuk. He swears by Pinterest.
What?
He says it's... Yeah, he said...
What does Gary V do with Pinterest?
That's what I'm wondering.
He's I don't know what he does, but my guess is he not monetizes, but he uses it for pervasive influence across all mediums is my best guess. But like if you go to VaynerMedia and say I want Bacon and Eggs to be a VaynerMedia product, they will redirect us to Pinterest and you will have to make an account to view the images.
Dude, I was just picturing that he just like scroll through his board and it's just all Jet stuff. It's just like
Yeah, I was just imagining Gary Vaynerchuk like connected to a bunch of teenage girls like pinning stuff.
I'm sure he is.
And he's just sitting there like, OMG, Becky, this wedding dress will look so great on you in 10 years.
I think what he does is he just tries to be smart about everything. And what Pinterest does is it says, if you want to know, like he does the weekend warrior shopping thing, right? Where he goes out to like every garage sale in town just for fun and like scans every item. How much can I sell this for on eBay? How much can I buy it for right now? And I think he uses Pinterest to give him photography ideas. This is my best guess. I have no idea what Gary Vaynerchuk uses Pinterest for. I know he's a big Pinterest guy, but I think what he does is he uses it both to post and to push content, but also to get like design ideas and stuff like that. But I have no idea. So if you know what Gary V's using Pinterest for, let us know.
Here's my thing: is that Gary Vaynerchuk is definitely one of those guys that like knows how to use the internet better than 99% of people.
Dude, I am clueless.
So like if he says Pinterest is the move,
how many subscribers
probably
do you have,
correct.
Isaac? I don't think you are. I wouldn't call you clueless.
Dude, that I feel like, like every social media, I'm always confused. I don't know how to do anything. I've tried to watch
317,000 subscribers, Isaac.
But that's like just that's just pushing stuff into the world. Just like praying something sticks. Like,
but you know how to use your tags, I would imagine, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, I know about YouTube how to as best as I can, but like I don't have like, I feel like some people have like all the strategies. They're always looking at the analytics. They're like scheduling everything, and it's just like, whew, that's just like, it's just all nebulous to me. I'm just trying to like make stuff.
Well, I mean,
me too.
So hear me out though. Like Gary Vaynerchuk obviously knows how to use Pinterest, and there's definitely something he's not getting out of Pinterest, or he's getting out of Pinterest that I'm not. But like, I'm not talking about Gary Vaynerchuk. I'm talking about your average Joe Blow human being. Like, you're gonna be okay without Pinterest.
Yeah, you'll survive. You don't need it.
Like, it's because it's trying to be a social media, but it like isn't. And
I don't really know what it is. I can't figure it out. If I could figure it out, I think it'd be a useful tool. I don't know how to work it. My wife pulls it up and she's like I think the pictures are attached to links. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay, but she'll pull it up and be like, look at this picture. This is what I want. And I'll be like, did you click the link? Can you just buy it?
Well, I mean,
just get it.
And there's so many social medias out there that I don't get. Like I edit my Instagram filter or pictures in VSCO, and that's like just use it for the photo editing part, but it's also like a social media.
Dude, I know. Like,
and I'm like, I don't know how to use VSCO, so I've just started like every time I edit a post or picture for Instagram, I've just started like posting it on my VSCO, and now I just like have VSCO followers, and I'm like, I don't know what to do with you guys. Like,
do they comment? Do they leave little likes?
No, they don't. Nobody likes anything. Like, nobody comments.
Dude, yeah, because that's a trend I've been seeing, that on lots of girls' Instagram pages, it'll like say their Snap, and then it will say their VSCO. And I'm like, why? What is this? Why don't you like your Twitter handle?
What?
Like, am I?
Oh, because Twitter's dead.
What happened to Twitter?
Because for Instagram girls, Twitter's dead.
Yeah.
Twitter is alive and well. Twitter's not alive and well.
No.
If you want to go where the people are, you go to Instagram. If you want to go where the creators are, you go to Twitter.
Yeah. If you're a big celebrity or like big online, that's where people go to follow you.
Well, Instagram is now what Twitter used to be.
Yep.
Instagram, like Twitter used to just be like people saying, "Hey, this is the thing I do. This is my life." And now everybody's doing that on Instagram, and Twitter's become this like community and become this like, people interact all the time, and like you can just call people out on Twitter and just like have a conversation with them.
I know. We do that all the time.
And it's just like, as a creator, it's like valuable because it's you can have like people feel like they're looking in on a candid conversation, even though they're not, even though like thousands of people are viewing that conversation, because like if you and me and John Negroni are tweeting back and forth, like, people are seeing that and they feel like they're having part of this candid conversation. They feel like we're like, they're getting us a look into our texts.
It kind of is, honestly. There are frequent times where, until like private information is needed, I will just have my conversations with Isaac and Seamus and John via Twitter. Oh yeah, like via Twitter tweet,
Seamus,
not via direct message.
Seamus is an expert at that.
Yeah, he is.
Like he just interacts like so much.
He just jumps in everywhere.
And I'll tell you, Instagram, not hard to figure out.
No, just use the tags.
Yeah, you just use the tags, post decent content, people will follow.
What was I saying, Ethan?
I don't know.
I had a good point to make.
know.
This is, if you want my hot take on social media, here's what I believe is going to happen. TikTok is going to take over.
It's not.
Yep.
It is.
Dude, it's Vine.
It is.
It's the new Vine.
Until Vine 2 happens.
Because because I downloaded this godforsaken app and I hate everything about it and I cannot stop looking at it. It drives me insane.
TikTok's going to be the thing.
And I know
until Vine 2 happens. I'm telling you, because Vine 2 has the infrastructure.
A real quality creator is going to get a hold of TikTok and break through and make everything good good.
Yep.
You remember when
No,
Logan
because
Paul
there's too
was
much.
on Vine
There's too
and
much
Logan
on the
Paul
line
was
for
worth
quality
your time?
creators. No, is that there's too much on the line for Vine 2 for quality
I
creators.
don't know what Vine 2 even is.
It's
What
Byte.
is
It's
that?
coming out next year. It's coming out in like the next quarter.
No.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, TikTok is going to take over.
I agree.
And
It's
I'm
not.
scared for it, and I don't want it to happen. But if you were investing stock right now, that is what I would invest in.
No, because Byte is just going to be literally Vine 2. It's going to be 6-second videos. It's going to work the same as Vine, and it's just going to be back. And then like the familiar faces are going to come back enough for it to take off, and then TikTok will be dead
don't think they
because
will.
TikTok doesn't work right. They're not advertising well.
That's the thing, is that it's working because people get that dopamine hit from the cringe content.
You're the only person I know that watches TikTok videos.
See,
You're the only human being I know.
I got.
You're the only person
attached
saying
to
anything
them
about it.
because of PewDiePie. Because PewDiePie was constantly reviewing TikTok, like memes and stuff like that. So then I looked into it and I started scrolling through and noticed that there was like people with like millions of followers on TikTok.
Yeah.
And it's like tons of kids. Like people are always like, the next generation is coming for you. And it's like, yeah, and they're all on TikTok. They're just like cranking out
That's
stuff.
exactly
Okay,
where they
but
are.
yeah, but I'm not worried about what the 10-year-olds are doing, to tell you the truth. Like, I'm just not interested. Because the 10-year-olds don't know what the 10-year-olds are doing. They're out here eating Tide
but
Pods
what happens-
for 5 seconds. They're living in a meme. Like, that's the thing. It's gonna burn itself out within the next 12 months.
I hope it does. I think it's terrible.
No, not
I think
just-
the content is bad.
Not just
I
TikTok.
think the format is bad.
Not just TikTok. TikTok's gonna burn itself out, but like the whole like Gen Z meme culture existence is gonna burn itself out in the next 12 months. And you're gonna start going back to quality content creation like there was with Vine.
You think Vine is quality?
I think Vine was a lot more quality than TikTok. I think people put a lot of effort into Vine videos, and a lot of time it showed. And yes, there were still viral Vine videos, and viral content is always going to be candid content to some extent. And there were viral Vines, like the Free Shavakadu thing. That was just some dude
I was thinking
that was
that.
reading a Del Taco sign.
Come down to Del Taco. They got a free Shavaka,
And there's
dude.
never going to be a substitute for that. Like, you can't engineer that.
Right, yeah. You can't force it.
Because that could have easily gotten 6 people looking at it on Vine and being like, next.
Right. Thumbs down.
Yeah. I don't know about social media. I don't think Twitter's going anywhere. I don't think Instagram's going anywhere.
No, not yet.
The next thing to die is Snapchat.
That's what I was thinking.
I hope not. I hate
Snapchat tried to go above board and be like not a point-to-point communication. It tried to be like a social media as opposed to a social network, and it didn't work because Instagram was like, we've got stories and they're better, and you just
They
have
are better.
followers.
I-
It's 10 times easier to follow somebody on Instagram than it is on Snapchat.
I just saw that, or just heard that, like, Facebook bought Snapchat or something. So.
That was a long time ago.
Oh, really?
No, Facebook
That was
bought
like-
Instagram a long time ago.
Facebook bought Snapchat like year 1 of Snapchat.
Oh.
I thought they made like $1 billion offer, and Snapchat said no.
Did they? Was that it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know Facebook bought Instagram really early because you used to be able to post from Instagram directly to Twitter like the pictures, and now you can't. You haven't been able to for a long time, which is dumb, big dumb.
It is the big dump. But I will also say Twitter pictures don't mean nearly as much as they used to.
I didn't hear that.
I'll also say that Twitter pictures don't mean nearly as much as they used to.
I don't ever click an Instagram link from Twitter. If somebody like
No,
auto posts their Instagram link, I'm like, I unfollow them. I'm like, you should know better.
I was gonna say, scrolling through my feed, I don't see any pictures, but literally every single tweet on my feed, probably 20 tweets down, has an image, and then I've got 3 that
Well,
don't.
Twitter
and then a bunch
Twitter
that
has
do.
Twitter has the image memes.
Right.
Yeah.
Like Twitter has GIFs. Twitter has, because if you post memes to Instagram and you're like a human and not like a meme account, I'm unfollowing you. Like if you Tyler Carlin were like, I'm gonna start posting memes to my Instagram, I would text you within 30 minutes and be like, bad looks.
I post them on our.
This ain't it, Chief. Yeah, but that's a brand. That's not a person. I look
know.
at you, Tyler Carlin's Instagram, because I want to know what you are doing. I don't want to know what meme you think is funny. That's what Twitter's for. That's where you post your memes. And Twitter pictures generate creativity. The ability to do the retweet quote thing was Twitter's best invention ever.
I agree.
Yeah,
Because it
yeah,
allows you to
that's
just keep
like-
layering funny stuff on top of other funny stuff.
and it makes it look like it was all you.
Yeah. Some of my best tweets have been quote retweets where I was like, I've got a funny thing to say toward whatever this person already said. Anyway, Wreck-It
follow
Ralph 2.
Isaac. Follow Isaac on all social media.
Yeah. I don't
Do
want
you,
some
are you
videos.
are you watching videos on everything?
Yeah.
Perfect.
You lucky
Unlike
duck.
Seamus.
You're so much easier than Seamus.
Yeah, luckily my thing's weird enough. I was able to do it and scarf them off.
You would think that Seamus Gorman wouldn't be that hard.
Yeah.
But he couldn't get any of them. There was some dude that like took every social media handle.
I know, and then he places the 4 in weird places.
Well, it's Seamus Gorman 4 on Instagram, and then he's Gorman Seamus on Twitter, and his YouTube URL's terrible.
What is? Oh, it's like 68Q3XY.
Hang on. I didn't even know it. So, Watso, to get to you go to youtube.com/WotsoVideos, right?
Yep.
So to get to Seamus, you gotta search youtube.com/channel/capital UC lowercase JS 38 capital LPAWF lowercase FO 7 lowercase P capital M 5 lowercase R capital Y 834 capital M lowercase W. In case you didn't hear that, that was youtube.com/channel/UCJS38LPAWFFOPM 7M5RY834MW. Nappy Boy Radio Live.
I remember Nappy Boy Radio.
That's Seamus
You
Gorman.
remember Napster?
I do remember Napster.
All right, that's all.
that
I
it?
remember Napster when it was 99 cents a song, and I had like 300 songs, and then one day I just did.
You know what Wreck-It Ralph 2 remembered? GeoCities.
Yes, there was a bunch. Oh my god, the Easter eggs in this movie were insane-o.
When he's looking for the metal thing, and he pulls like a GeoCities girder off of it.
Wait, what's a
But
GeoCity?
GeoCities was like the Google build your own website thing from like 2002.
Oh, okay, that explains it. I'm like, I don't think. Yeah, I don't know how much internet usage I was using back in 2002.
No, it's like it was almost like I don't even know how to describe it. You could make your own website, sort of, make your own like page.
Yeah.
And like you would get redirected to them sometimes for like you search something and try to find help in like a forum, and then it'll be like, yo, go to my GeoCities.
Oh my god, they're so bad. I'm gonna share this article with you. I just found a bunch of them.
Oh, it was Yahoo. It was Yahoo, not Google.
Oh.
I don't know why Yahoo still exists, to tell you the truth.
Fantasy sports, and they're good at it.
Oh.
No, they're not.
Yeah, that's the thing I always hear them using.
I still prefer ESPN.
I think Google Chrome on my computer is broken. I'm gonna troubleshoot with you guys. I went home on Google Chrome just now, and it took me to Bing.com.
Ouch.
Did your computer catch on fire?
Yeah.
I just don't know what's wrong.
Did you download something sketchy and choose the wrong setting?
No, I don't download anything. I don't believe in downloading things. I think it's dangerous.
That sounds like a problem Aziz Ansari had in Parks and Rec when he was like, people around here ask Jeeves to take them to Google.
Oh my god. On startup, open a new tab.
Why does everyone in this town still use Alta Vista?
Make default browser. Here we go. No, not default browser. I want default search it. Manage search it.
Anyway, so GeoCities was the
search it.
thing that Wreck-It Ralph 2 chose to poke fun at. It was the
It
same
made fun
scene
of a bunch of things.
where there was like a dial-up modem sign behind him.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got a question for you guys. So this
Okay.
is something I was confused about. So there was characters like the pop-up guy and like Double Dan, and I was wondering, are those people users? Because Double Dan is like that a program that makes viruses, or is that a user who's like disguised in the dark web or something? Because I couldn't tell because the users were very defined, but those individuals seemed like they were shaping the internet. And like that pop-up said he was the owner of the website. So I just didn't understand.
That's a good question. I think the pop-up, my understanding of how programs like that work is that it is a program that you develop, you the user develop a website or not a website, but a program that you then sell on like Google AdWords or whatever, Google AdSense or whatever. The ads by Google at the top of shady websites.
Yep.
You develop a program that people then click on, and it's like basically your little web page where you make an account or whatever, and then you log in and hunt for loot in World of Warcraft and sell it. And that is my understanding, is that it is a program that somebody made that is like a bot that's designed to run on its own.
Yeah, that's absolutely what it is.
Yeah, because it's not the website that he owns. It's just the website that he's tied to. That makes sense.
Right.
Yeah, somebody owns that website, but they have
Domain.
the bot that runs it. Like it's a domain that they don't have to do any work. Like people go in, they put their order in, and then the order is fulfilled by the bot.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the order is given to other humans that are fulfilled by the bot. Because that loot thing is a real thing.
Yeah, people do that.
Like-
Ethan's bought loot.
I bought gold on World of Warcraft one time. Some dude like came up to me in game and was like, "Here's 40 million gold" or whatever. I was like, "That was dope."
That was awesome. That's everything I've
It
ever
took like
wanted.
24 hours. I was like, "Oh god, I lost my money."
What else would I say? I speaking of that, not knows more. Double Dan. Who's Double Dan?
Dan was the virus guy, right?
Yeah, the blob with the second head who brought out the virus.
Gord's uncle or whatever.
Yeah.
I think Gord was
Okay.
one of my favorite characters.
Gord is one of my favorite characters. Double Dan made me want to throw up in my popcorn.
Yes, because Gord had the sweater. The sweater was
Yeah.
everything for Gord.
Yeah, because when he reach out and his arm would just keep going.
Because it made him adorable because he was just a goofy ball with like eyes that didn't point straight who would just show up like guard, and Gord's there.
I loved Gal Gadot's friends' names. There's Felony and Pyro and Butcher Boy.
I loved Nosemore. Alan Tudyk did, as he always does, a wonderful job as the voice actor for Nosemore.
Yeah, I agree. So here's a character I don't love, and this is both films. Jane Lynch as Calhoun. All I hear is Jane Lynch.
Yeah, I don't really like Jane Lynch either, like in anything.
I love Jane Lynch. In Glee, she was
gonna
amazing.
say, she is Sue Sylvester. So when she's like picking up a gun and stuff, I just picture her like screaming at the cheerleaders.
Right. I don't picture her as young as Calhoun, I think, is supposed to be.
See, I have the same problem with the guy that did Felix.
Oh.
He's what's
I
his
can
name?
only see him from 30 Rock.
Right. Who
Yeah.
voices Felix?
Jack
What's his
McBrayer.
name? Jack McBrayer. Yep. But he was
I can
like
only
silly
see him
and
as
cute.
Kenny from 30 Rock and the weird guy from Talladega Nights.
Oh yeah.
But that almost worked, where it was like Felix is this unbelievably innocent character who, he just fixes things. That's just what he does. And that worked for me, but I felt like Jane Lynch as Calhoun did not work. It did not land at all, because I always pictured Calhoun has kind of like a white hair, but it's like a young woman's white hair. But to me, I was just picturing Jane Lynch, and I was like, you are so much older than Fix-It Felix. Like, this isn't a smart match at all. I know that she was supposed to be like sexy, but I didn't get that.
Yeah, I felt like it worked for me fine in the first one, but just in the second one, there wasn't enough for them to do to like really sell me on it again. That they were like full-fledged together or anything like that.
Well, they were raising the 15 racers,
Yeah.
which I thought was fun.
That was funny. The heathen kids from Sugar Rush who were like on a sugar rush.
Right. They're like the devil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who does freaking Surge?
Surge? Oh, the Surge Protector?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because what's his name? The pop-up guy was Bill Hader, right? He's just not credited. I was hearing about that.
Why would Bill Hader go uncredited?
I don't know, but that's what I've heard. I don't have an answer for that.
It's Phil Johnston.
Phil Johnston. Who the heck is he? He appears to be the
is,
writer.
Yeah, he's written some okay films.
He wrote Zootopia.
Hey, he also wrote Wreck-It Ralph and Zootopia, which are excellent. But he's also written some okay at best films.
See, I feel like we should talk about like the ending of Wreck-It Ralph now, because I feel like that's kind of where it gets really weird and goofy and makes me feel like there's better alternatives for certain aspects of Wreck-It Ralph 2. Like if you're looking for like a character story with two characters that become really good friends, I feel like a better version of that is like Zootopia. And so I feel like Wreck-It Ralph or Ralph Breaks the Internet sometimes struggles to like stand out on its own, and it kind of falls apart for me at the end.
I would agree with that. Yeah, I think the first like hour and 15 minutes were really good, and the last kind of 35 minutes, as soon as the virus gets out of the game, I was like, okay, I'm over this.
Yeah, that was when the movie really fell apart for me as well. I was like, what's with the King Kong imagery? Have we been building this to this the whole time, or is it just like?
Yeah.
I guess that's the thing, is that
hold
that,
up.
that he's
Hold
DK.
up. Michael Giacchino voiced a stormtrooper
Yes.
in this movie, like the composer.
Oh, in this movie?
In this movie, yes.
Oh, I knew Alan Menken did the original song for Sarah Silverman. What'd you think of that? I thought it was dumb as can be.
It was probably my favorite Vanellope part.
Really?
Yeah, I really hate Vanellope. I cannot.
I love
cannot
Vanellope.
express to you how much Sarah Silverman's voice acting takes me out of this movie and the last one. I just can't. Like, there's no words for it.
I felt like
Interesting.
the parody just like it pushed it a little far from like it just.
I agree.
I felt like it kind of took me out of the experience. I enjoyed the song and like for what it was. Like I can appreciate like Alan Menken coming to make that song, but it kind of took me out of it. And I just.
But that's the thing is though, she found her dream. Like that was the one time I bought the character where she was like, I found the thing I really wanted to do, so I found the song.
Yeah.
That's so weird that you think that, because I was not sold on Slaughter Race. Like when she went back to that, I was like, oh, we're back to this?
I was absolutely
Yes,
sold on
I thought
Slaughter
they
Race.
were
That was the
gonna
whole
stop.
thing. Is she didn't want just the same track every day.
Right, so she wanted Grand Theft Auto. But
That was the thing, though, that was what she had to learn. That was what her and Ralph had to learn, is that, A, it's okay for them to be apart. They can still be friends. I think that is an important message, is that, like, you don't have to live next door to each other to still be friends. Those relationships are still valuable. Like, the relationship I have with people on the internet is still valuable. That is an important point in this movie, as well as the fact that, like, her and Ralph don't have to have the same goals. Like, Ralph wants every day of his life to be the same, and that's fine. And Vanellope wants every day of his life to be different. Her life to be different, and that's fine. That was the thing, is like you have to have that contrast. You have to be okay with that contrast. That's the point the movie was trying to ram home. At least that was what I got out of it. I thought the song and the return to Slaughter Race did a very good job of that.
I think I like fully understood like that's what they were going for, but I felt like it wasn't fully executed well because I didn't feel like there was enough of a reason for Vanellope to ditch her own game, especially with all the turbo stuff we were discussing previously. Like, it felt like, why is she just abandoning all of the other racers, even though she just throws away a line that says, like, oh, there's other racers, they won't care, even though Ralph said it the 6 years prior that all the gamers love her. They all love her glitch. And it's like, you don't think anyone's going to take notice to that? And it seems like they didn't. But I just wasn't sold that, like, that was the thing she should go off and do independently from Ralph.
Okay, see, I totally get that. I 100% get where you're coming from, because you guys really bought into the first movie.
Yeah.
And I think that's where your disconnect is coming from, is like, I didn't really care about the first movie all that much. I enjoyed it, but I haven't seen it in 6 years. Yeah. And so, like, I didn't really remember what happened all that much, and I didn't feel like I missed anything from this movie. I didn't feel like that her character was being betrayed, because I think what this movie's trying to do, as opposed to some of the more recent Pixar and Disney sequels, is I think it's trying less to come back to the original movie.
Yeah.
I don't think you can have it both ways. Like, you can either have The Incredibles 2 where it starts 8 seconds later, even though it's been 14 years, or you can have a movie that crosses 6 years.
Well, okay, but here's the thing is, Incredibles 2 happened 8 seconds later, but it also undid its entire story in the first 2 minutes, where as soon as they fight the Underminer, they're being arrested for being heroes again.
Yeah, and I think that's a problem. I have many issues. But Finding Dory did the same thing, though.
Oh,
but in those 6 years, that Vanellope was in Sugar Rush, this is important. Vanellope is Princess Vanellope. Her picture is on the side of Sugar Rush.
Yeah, she's the center square.
She is the center square. She's the most important character. Yeah. And the reason that she wasn't, like, as soon as Sugar Rush arrived in the arcade, Turbo took Vanellope out of it. So the kids that played didn't know Vanellope was even a playable character. Okay, but then once she was back, she became the crowd favorite. Like, people would come to that arcade to play as Vanellope in Sugar Rush because she had the best superpower. Like, all the racers had their own superpowers. So, like, Candlehead can light the cherry bombs. And Vanellope can glitch, so she can, like, jump through things. And that is important. Like, the fact that she's a part of that game, she is the game. There is no Sugar Rush without Vanellope. Like, there's no Fix-It Felix without Ralph. There's no Sugar Rush without Vanellope.
And I think you just... Okay, so you figured out my next point, though. There's no Sugar Rush without Vanellope. Are you guys not seeing the obvious second sequel here? That Vanellope's still there? That she's just code?
Oh, that
she
she's
can't
in
leave
both?
the game. The game will
Like, if it reset,
if the game resets, if there's, like, a power surge or whatever, the game resets, but another Vanellope comes back.
But this is again from Wreck-It Ralph. As long as the lore continues.
But this movie is telling you that what happened in Wreck-It Ralph 1 doesn't matter.
Right, but if the lore is to continue, then the game can't reset unless Vanellope crosses the finish line. That's how the game resets. Is that the main character crosses the finish line.
I'm just telling you, I can definitely see this being a thing where, like, Vanellope gets bored of Slaughter Race, wants to come home, and she's been replaced.
Be a lot of Sarah Silverman. Can you handle it?
I'm not saying I want it, but, like, that was like an obvious. Not an obvious, but that was something I definitely thought about, was like, if the game reboots with the code in it like Slaughter Race does, she's just gonna come back. Like, Litwack's gonna close the store or something because he's, like, old, and somebody's gonna reopen the store.
I think there's definitely a story to be told about Litwack moving forward and what happens. Because this is sort of the direction I expected this movie to go, was that they were gonna get the internet and the arcade was gonna die. Like, people didn't want to play arcade games anymore, and
and I think they are.
I think that's definitely the next direction that we're gonna go with it, because before there can be an arcade renaissance, there has to be an arcade death.
Right, yeah, arcade has to die before it can be reborn.
Right.
And that's what you're seeing right now.
I know, is that we're I think we're going towards reborn.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. Is that, like, there are arcades coming back.
Did you know that there's a VR arcade in our mall?
Yeah.
They moved locations, but that place is always busy.
Yeah, they opened up, like, a proper arcade at the mall in Newport News.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and you go to like a beach town. This is where it's starting. It's the same deal as, like, it always came up in, like, Seattle and the Pacific Northwest, was where they, like, Silicon Valley, all that stuff, was where they would pilot the new arcade games in the States. You know, you hear about that in Ready Player One and in Armada. But it is true. But you go to beach towns. Beach towns still have and are, like, getting arcades back. Like, you go to Ocean City, the whole boardwalk. Even I went to Ocean City, Maryland. I went to Ocean City, Maryland last October. Like, way after the season it ended. Like, it was cold, it was rainy, and the whole boardwalk is closed up except for, like, 13 arcades. And there are, like, people there in the middle of October, in the middle of the day, just, like, playing box cabinet video games, playing Dig Dug.
And there's variety in these arcades. Like, the one we have in Roanoke is a VR arcade. Like, you can go in and pay, I don't know, whatever it costs to do the VR games, but there also is cabinet
Yeah.
games. There's, you can do Space Invaders, a Pac-Man.
When
or
we went to the barcade in Richmond. Those are coming up too.
That was the coolest place on
Yeah,
earth.
the circuit. And it's just old cabinet games, and not even old cabinet games. They're still making cabinet games.
These
It's
Guitar
mostly
Hero
Japan that's making cabinet games now, but
Yeah.
I think
Isaac, how old are you?
I'm 20.
Okay. Were you around for the Guitar Hero craze?
Oh yeah, I was playing that all through elementary school. I love guitar.
I'm elementary school on the Wii. I'm old.
yeah, I was gonna say we were like the top. We were like the top end of the Guitar Hero thing.
Yeah,
I was extremely good at Guitar Hero. We had a group of friends that was very good at it, and I was not the best, but I was better than anybody that wasn't in our group of friends that I played, like by a mile.
Yeah.
Ethan can vouch.
Oh
for
yeah,
this.
we had a ridiculous group of Guitar Hero players that we hung out with and just played Guitar Hero.
Right. Like, do you remember the 5 gold stars you could get if you like perfected a song?
Yeah.
We had like that on every single song.
on what difficulty?
Like on every on expert.
On expert.
Oh, holy shit.
Like I remember we were sitting at Mike's house one day and Devin was just like, "Mike, you don't have the gold stars?" And he literally just played like the first 15 songs one try, gold stars.
Yeah, I remember I got Guitar Hero 3 for the Xbox, and I went over to Tyler's house, and it took like 7 songs before either of us missed a note, and
Yeah.
then toward the last set before we failed a song.
Yeah.
That we'd never played before.
So we were very good at Guitar Hero.
It was wild.
We went to a barcade and I was like, "This is it, guys. This is what I trained my whole life for." And there was Guitar Hero. I put it on hard. Let me tell you what's very hard after drinking alcohol.
No, it's
Guitar
just
Hero.
you've lost the knack for it. I promise. Go back and play it like stone cold sober. You're not good anymore. I did this recently. I had this experience where I was like, "Oh my god, I can't play Guitar Hero anymore." Somebody handed me a controller at a party, and I was like, "I got this. Put it on expert." No,
Got this.
no,
No, it's
wrong.
not happening. I used to be able to play Sweet Child of Mine from Guitar Hero 2 with my eyes shut, like the whole song. I can remember at least the intro.
And then
same with My Name Is Jonas. I could do that whole
And
one.
then Rock Band came out and had the drums, and it was awful.
It was awful. The guitar was
Nobody could play the drums. Oh,
I-
I threw the Strat controller for Rock Band away and just plugged in a regular Guitar Hero controller.
Because I played Guitar Hero. I think I was towards the end of the Guitar Hero age. Like I was playing like World Tour and like Guitar Hero Metallica and like those later.
Oh
games.
my gosh.
So
Yeah.
Because I was post Rock Band was when I was playing.
No, Rock Band was the last one we ever got into. Rock Band killed it for us.
Yeah. I remember Chris could sing Blue Oyster Cult.
Yeah. Chris was never very good. Rock Band was his niche.
Yeah. Well, no, wasn't he good at Halo too?
Yeah, but I mean, as far as the music games go, Chris was good at Halo.
Yeah. Anyway, Isaac, tell us about your experience with Guitar Hero.
So I remember getting like a package for Christmas, and it was like Guitar Hero World Tour, and you got 2 guitars with it. So we would be plugging in the Wii controllers and everything, and so we'd always do like battles against each other, so we could like train and stuff, because then you could just play the whole song through without like risk of losing. So I was always doing that. I was a big fan.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Yeah, the original Guitar Hero and Guitar Hero 2 had Gibson SG controllers for the PlayStation, and then
PlayStation
for the
2.
PlayStation 2, yeah. And then I remember the first person that got the Xbox 360 version of Guitar Hero 2 that had the Gibson Explorer, and it was like,
awesome.
man, because Guitar Hero 2 on the Xbox 360, you could download like song packs.
Yeah.
You could
Yeah.
download new songs. There was like DLC coming out. It wasn't just like
I had
trying to
a-
perfect Jordan by Buckethead.
Oh God, that was
Song was that was
a
literally
song.
impossible.
I mean, you could beat it, but it was like there was no shame if you didn't.
Yeah, no, not on expert. It was literally like Devin beat Through the Fire and the Flames on expert. He like perfected it. He never even beat Jordan.
Yeah.
Did he get 100% on it?
On Through the Fire and the Flames?
No.
Yeah.
No, I don't think he perfected that
No.
one. But he could play it like
Yeah.
he would
through.
get through it every time.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it was nuts.
That's beautiful. He said.
Dragon Force, man, that band. There was a while where we were in middle school when Dragon Force was it.
Ethan, I remember buying this guitar. You could buy the aftermarket guitars that were like different brand, and I remember like asking for this guitar for Christmas over and over and over again, and finally I got it, which of course I'm sure it was all the same year, and it was awful. Take a look at this.
I remember you
this?
having that, yeah.
Yeah.
It just didn't work.
It was like unplayable. Like the whammy bar didn't work, and the thing about the Guitar Hero controller was that the buttons clicked and the strum clicked. Like you could hear the click, and that mattered. That was what you were playing.
That was the problem with Rock Band, is you had that flappy bar that didn't click on the
and
strap.
the whole game was rhythm. I remember sitting in Mike's room the first night we ever played Guitar Hero, and I would play I Want to Be Sedated over and over and over again until I could beat it on hard mode. This was the day the day it all started.
Yeah, it was like the third song.
And it was the third song, and I remember not knowing what that song sounded like at all. Like if you had played that song after I played it probably 15 times in a row, I would have been like, oh, this is an interesting song. I never heard this before. Like it had nothing to do with the music. We would play it on mute.
Yeah, you could play them on mute. It was no problem. It was all about like just getting the rhythm to it.
Right, getting the rhythm and getting the
You never
buttons,
listened to what
and
you
that
were
was
playing.
it.
You were listening to the drums.
Yeah, there's a little Guitar Hero tips.
God, I've
for
played
you.
guitar so long.
For y'all out there.
I remember the big thing for me was I just remember like the moment when you started pressing the orange key and you're like, holy now I'm playing like a real guitar.
Now I'm playing guitar.
Yeah, you're like you're halfway
I'm
through.
moving my pinky.
You're halfway through hard mode. Like you're getting it. You are getting it, brother.
Yeah, you're moving your pinky, and that's crazy. And I remember, like, you tell people, just put it on medium. It only uses the first 4 keys. Oh, man, I love Guitar Hero.
So you guys haven't given a whole lot of, like, hard opinions on this movie during this episode. Did you guys, because I feel like I've said a lot about how I felt about this movie. Did you guys like this movie? Did you not like this movie? Like, how much did you enjoy watching it?
I genuinely loved this movie. I left the theater and I was like, Emily, I saw it with my wife. I was like, Emily, that was an awesome movie. I'm like so ecstatic that we saw it. And she was like, meh, it was all right. And I was like, what? Did we see the same movie?
That's how I felt about it.
Maybe there's some bias that I don't know about, but I think I'm a pretty level-headed human. I thought this was a wonderful film. I really overjoyed with my experience. And maybe it's because I recently saw a movie that I was really excited about that really sucked, but and took something that I loved and cared about and made it worse. And I felt like this developed characters that I was interested in a good way. And that is my overall that I really liked.
I think I enjoyed where they took the characters as well. I enjoyed where the story went. I thought it was a logical next step, and I think it executed on it better than a lot of previous like Pixar sequels. Like, I think it accomplished creating a more compelling story and character development more than The Incredibles 2 did.
Yes.
Like,
preach.
I think The Incredibles 2 completely... It frustrates me because I don't think that it developed the characters or developed the world in any, like, meaningful way. Whereas Ralph Breaks the Internet, I feel like it did push the world in a new direction and had great morals, but I feel like it just didn't execute it as well as it could have at the end with a ludicrous virus that was occurring. I enjoyed what it symbolized, but I just don't think they did it in the best way, and I thought it was too blatant of going about it. But overall, I had a fun time watching it. But I didn't think it was perfect. But it still beats previous sequels. I think it's one of the better sequels that have come out from Disney and Pixar.
Oh, that is a good point.
Well, if you include Pixar in there, yeah. But I mean, then where do you stop? Where's the line?
I don't know.
I mean, it's better than Attack of the Clones, and it's better than
right. But I mean, it
Cars
gets
2,
as soon as you start bringing in
than-
like you can put this in a reasonable comparison when you talk about other Disney animation movies. When you start putting in other Disney properties, like this doesn't even come close for me.
Well, I just meant like animation that's produced under the Disney banner. Because lots of people, like, I don't know, I've always just seen lots of people like hyped for everything Pixar. Pixar is the golden standard. Screw Disney. But I'm like, no. Like, Disney comes with great stuff. Don't discredit it. Pixar has good stuff, but Pixar has some bombs too.
Oh, you can't say that.
Does it?
You're not allowed to say
Yeah,
that.
does it have some? I mean, it's got Cars too.
I mean,
but
it does. Like, it has some movies for
Yeah.
sure. And that
liked
is the
Good
thing
Dinosaur.
that people. Good Dinosaur was all right. Ratatouille was all right. Cars 2 was pretty bad.
Oh,
Cars
be
1.
careful what you say
Cars
about
1 was
Ratatouille.
all right.
Ratatouille's awesome.
I will take Finding Dory over Ratatouille every day.
Oh.
Every day.
Oh, brutal.
Every day. I'll take Ratatouille
that
over.
hurts.
I'll take Ratatouille over Incredibles 2. I will take Ratatouille over Monsters University. But I will take Finding Dory over Ratatouille.
See, I think I'm just one who is defensive of Disney feature animation just because there's so many people online who just love Pixar. Like, Pixar is the dream. And I'm like, no, Disney's doing great stuff. They've been doing great stuff for years.
They definitely make great movies.
Yeah.
But like Pixar has movies that are just that step above. Like, I'll be really honest, and I'm not by any means like a Pixar stan. But, like, Pixar has movies that are that step above. Like, we just reviewed all the Toy Story movies with Seamus. Those movies are better than anything Disney's put out in the last 25 years. Since Pixar started, those movies are better than anything Disney Animation's put out.
I can see Lion King turning in your head like, was that 25 years?
All 3 Toy Story movies are better than the Lion King to me.
Yeah.
I can see the argument for Lion King. I mean, Hamlet's a good play.
I can
right?
see
Like, we can
there's
all
a
agree about
couple
that.
there's a couple Disney there at the end of the Disney Renaissance I can see the argument for. Pretty much anything after the Disney Renaissance, then not really. I think The Emperor's New Groove is the last one that comes close for me. Maybe Atlantis. I really loved Atlantis.
Frozen, Ethan. Frozen.
Frozen
Yeah, I
is
was gonna say,
Frozen comes
Frozen.
nowhere close to Toy Story.
Frozen.
Nowhere close.
It does. I don't think it's Toy Story. I think, yeah. I mean, it's not just the Toy Story movies though. Like, I will say, what Pixar's got going for it is, it is Toy Story 1, 2, 3, but it's also WALL-E. It's also Up. It's also, you might not like this, Ethan, but it's also Ratatouille. You know, it's like, there are some extremely, I think Frozen, I think Tangled, I think Big Hero 6, and I think the first Wreck-It Ralph film. And there's some other Disney animation properties from the Disney revival that you can throw in the conversation for not just good animation, but good artistic
if you're
cinema.
gonna gun to my head, what I would rather watch, there are 13 Pixar movies I would take over Frozen. 13.
That's fair enough.
Pixar
But
movies I would take
I feel
over
like
Frozen.
you're-
I would take Moana over Frozen. I would take Big Hero 6 over Frozen. I would take Tangled over Frozen. That's probably about it
See,
on
I
that
just
side.
think like the first like few Pixar films, like going up through all of those films are solid. Then they started, and that was a point in Disney feature animation history when they were on the decline. That like pretty much Lilo and Stitch was the thing that was like standing alone in 2002. That
Lilo and Stitch was okay.
Yeah, Lilo and Stitch was okay at best.
oh, Lilo and Stitch is awesome.
And then it was bad for a while. Like Treasure Planet, not that great. Brother Bear, okay. Home on the Range, stop.
God, yes,
Stop.
touch that.
People
like-
love Meet the Robinsons. I don't get it. Don't get
The
it.
Robinsons is weird.
I don't get it. Bolt.
Aren't you in Meet the Robinsons?
Princess and the
Isaac?
Frog was solid. Princess and the Frog was a solid movie.
Yes.
Princess and the Frog was solid.
So was
man.
Tangled. Tangled was really good.
Yeah.
And I'm not by any means saying that Wreck-It Ralph or Ralph Breaks the Internet are a bad movie. I'm just saying that I think that Pixar probably deserves some of the credit it gets over the Disney movies, over the Disney animation.
Here's
movies.
my question, Ethan. So let's take Disney animation. Let's take Pixar out of the conversation.
yeah.
Okay. I want to talk animation with you. There's 2 movies you have to beat in my mind to be next level animation.
Like-
and I think you're gonna say it beats one of them.
Are you talking about
it doesn't beat the
movies
other.
or like animation quality?
and animation films?
Okay.
You have to beat Shrek and you have to beat Despicable Me.
Yeah, this beats Despicable Me, but does not beat Shrek.
But does not beat Shrek.
Yeah, Shrek is like
Life.
yeah, Shrek is a god tier movie. There's a few of those.
Okay. So Shrek. So we move past
Shrek is like
We move past Despicable Me. I would say Shrek is 4 points higher than Despicable Me.
yeah,
Can we all agree?
but like Shrek is for us what Frozen is for like kids that are 10 right now.
Let me ask you this question, Ethan. Isaac, I think I know your answer. This doesn't beat Shrek. Does it beat How to Train Your Dragon?
No, it beats the sequel. It does not beat the first one. Yeah, How to Train Your Dragon is delightful.
Yeah, I would say it beats both. Or Ralph Breaks the Internet loses to both How to Train Your Dragon films. I feel like How to Train Your Dragon is like the hidden gem of DreamWorks. It's
Oh my god, it's so good.
Yeah,
It's
How to
so
Train Your
good.
Dragon and Shrek are the 2 properties that I think DreamWorks Animation should be proud of. Like
Yep.
in the last couple decades.
I agree.
I think they've had a lot of garbage and a lot of stuff they've tried to out Disney and just failed. Because like
They tried-
where Disney carves with a scalpel, DreamWorks tries to like, you know, bull at him with a
Carve
bulldozer.
with a
Yeah,
shovel.
like
Yeah.
they're just like, we're gonna put famous people in movies and you're gonna like it.
Pitbull. Down it.
It's like
And Disney's like, hey, we wrote a good movie and then found actors that made sense for the parts.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
The-
we
the
didn't
funny
write the
thing
parts
is-
around the actors.
DreamWorks has made a few artistic like films and franchises. Shrek, the first 2, especially.
3. I love the third one, but Shrek 2 is amazing.
Yeah, Shrek 2 is like one of the greatest sequels of all time. And then How to Train Your Dragon. But otherwise, a lot of the other stuff they were doing seems like it was all based off of trying to go the Illumination route, and they were failing at it. And then Illumination comes out and crushes what DreamWorks has been trying to do, which is why
Illumination got really
control of
lucky with the
DreamWorks.
Minion thing.
No, Illumination. No, the Minion thing was no surprise to me.
They got really like they found the key that just they found the niche that nobody was picking up. The people were acknowledging was there and just like weren't doing it, and they were like, we're gonna go full in on Minions, and it worked. I
When
hate
they
it.
made- yeah,
I
when
hate
they
it.
made-
I hate it so much, but it worked.
When they made Despicable Me, I was like, before the movie even came out, I was like, I'm in on Minions.
I hate the Minions.
I hate them now. I literally cannot stand them. But like Despicable Me also was a genuinely good movie.
Yeah.
The first one.
Yeah, I mean, Gru is a compelling character, but the Minions are that bad.
I feel like they've only gotten that bad, like through 2 sequels and their own individual movie. But I feel like in the first one, they were just fun comic relief.
My thing is, I think Disney continues to make movies that can still be enjoyable for adults that aren't like for unaccompanied adults. For people that just want to go watch a movie. I could not go watch a Minions movie or a Despicable Me sequel in the theaters right now and like enjoy it. There's no chance. Those are movies for children. Like everybody makes the argument for Pixar and for Disney. There's like, they're not just movies made for children. The Minions movies are movies made to mollify children. That is it. Like there's nothing beyond that.
Are we ready to get into some final thoughts?
I think we are.
Ethan? Okay.
We've said this has been an excellent episode, guys. We've said a lot.
I've really enjoyed
We've said a
this.
lot about the movies, but we've also had some tangent conversation. We've had a lot of fun, but we also said
I've
a
had
lot
ton
about
of
the
fun.
movie.
Done some belly laughing. This has been good. I want to talk about Breakfast. This movie and Breakfast.
Okay, let's talk about it.
I have no idea.
I don't have a clue. Is there like an obvious reference I'm missing? Like, is there some joke we can make?
There's a preview with a stack of flapjacks.
There's a mid-credit scene with the flapjacks.
Yeah.
Oh, is that a mid-credit scene?
Do you just not stay for the credits anymore?
No, I didn't. No.
It got put at like partway through.
Yeah, it was a mid-credit scene and then an end-credit scene.
I would say, I love pancakes, so I don't know if I'd put it at pancake. My initial thought was that it's like fruit. Like fruit is an acceptable breakfast. It's a healthy breakfast, but is it the most savory? Is it the most enjoyable breakfast food you could have? I would say no. And if you have a little bit of sprinkled like cantaloupe in there, it's like not the greatest.
Hold on.
And if that's at the bottom,
So is there a breakfast food that does not necessarily get better, but remains good and possibly develops a different taste as a leftover?
You could do something that like a lot of them don't do well. Like pancakes don't last. Biscuits and gravy doesn't last. They probably don't have that where you're from, Isaac.
But you know how you eat cold pizza and it's like a whole different experience, and it's not necessarily as good as hot pizza, but it's still enjoyable. You know what I'm saying?
What?
I don't necessarily say it's cold pizza, but like, is there a breakfast food like that?
So I think Ethan, what you're saying is the movie's cold pizza.
Is it cold pizza for breakfast? That's such a me thing to do.
I think it's an acceptable thing.
I eat cold pizza for breakfast, like willingly. Like I would get leftover pizza and just like plan on eating it for breakfast.
Same. I do Buffalo Wild Wings for breakfast too.
Oh, I've done that too.
God, it's so good.
Do you heat them up or do you just eat them cold?
Leave them cold.
I've definitely done that. Yeah. There's something to be said for like a slightly congealed cold wing.
Yeah, sauce is not.
Only a boneless wing though. I'm not gonna do boneless. I'm like adopting Alex. I'm adopting Isaac's accent as we're talking to him. I do this with everybody I talk to, but I'm adopting Isaac's accent as we talk to him. So it's cold pizza then.
I think it's cold pizza. Now, the conversation I was most interested in going into this, because I think Ethan said there was no way that this was going to happen. As far as our year 2 rankings go, I think that this movie beats everything except the Toy Story movies.
What's on the list so far?
I know that right below Toy Story 3? 1?
What?
What's the last Toy Story?
3 is number 1.
Okay, what's the third one on our list?
1.
Okay, so right behind Toy Story 1 is currently Crimes of Grindelwald.
Yep.
And it's better than Crimes of Grindelwald.
It's better than Crimes of Grindelwald. I didn't like it as much.
I liked it.
I would rather watch Crimes of Grindelwald again than this again.
Well, you're going to this weekend.
I would, but I
would
much prefer Potter to Disney animation.
That's fair enough.
Like if I have a thing that is like the thing that the Disney stands do, where like they will fall in love with like a bad like a Disney Channel original movie that sucks, and be like, this is amazing.
Yeah, that's me.
How dare you talk about High School Musical
I'm sorry, but
like
they do that. It's not just High School Musical. It's like there's all of them, all kinds of Disney. Yeah, The Descendants. What are those?
Descendants.
God, I love those.
Right. Anyway, so if there's a comparison to be made with me, it's Potter. Like I would rather watch a bad Potter movie than like an alright Disney animation movie, personally. But I will agree that it goes above Crimes of Grindelwald on the board, and it's obviously better than Venom. It's obviously better than Transformers.
Yeah.
Just like it tells a story, so it's better than all 3 of those movies because it has a cohesive story. It may not be the best cohesive story, but it has a cohesive story. But like we set the bar very high for the top and not very high for the bottom.
Right. There's a huge gap.
I mean, we did the same thing last
Toy Story 3.
Last year. We were like Iron Man, The Incredible Hulk, and then everything for months fit in between those.
Iron Man 2.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff came above Iron Great. I'm glad we had that conversation. I'm glad we were able to say that out loud.
Yeah. Well, how do we rank Ralph as a villain?
Ralph's not the villain. Oh,
He is a villain.
Look at that.
That's
right.
That's part of
I
what's
think-
wrong with the story of this movie.
I think he's compelling. I don't think he's as good a villain as Grindelwald.
No, he's absolutely not.
Like, Grindelwald didn't really do many crimes, but...
I think Grindelwald in the next movie is going to secure himself as a Killmonger.
God, I hope.
I think that, like, if the next movie is good, it will be because Grindelwald did something awesome on screen.
Here's the thing is, like, I think Grindelwald is more compelling than Domhnall Gleeson in Force Awakens.
Then Hux?
Than
Hux is the
Like,
backup
if you're
villain.
going to be like, if you're going to be Space Hitler, you can do better than Hux. But if you're going to be Wizard Hitler, you can't do better than Grindelwald.
Well, that's because Space Hitler was already done. It was Sheev Palpatine.
Who was Sheev Palpatine? But that's sort of my take on it. I felt like Grindelwald was awesome Wizard Hitler.
Yeah, I mean, Hux wasn't as good as Palpatine. Hux was still awesome. Hux makes that speech. Ooh.
That's a sweet speech. Force Awakens is such a good movie.
I feel like Grindelwald, like, which is just my problem with, like, Voldemort initially, is, like, he's always hyped up as this really powerful, like, entity, and then they're not doing anything to show it.
Oh, I felt like Grindelwald. The only thing I thought Crimes of Grindelwald did well was to show how evil and smart Grindelwald is.
And because
Was like he did the
consistent...
speech and how appealing his point of view, his perspective would be to a fragile wizarding community.
Yeah, and that's Grindelwald's real power, and that's the consistent theme for the Harry Potter books and movies, is that, like, power is still power, and, like, power is always going to be better. Like, coercion is always going to be better than magic, always. It's that's the whole thing. That's the frustrating thing with Book 5, is because they're talking the whole time like, you know, there's a weapon, something Voldemort doesn't have before, and you know, Ron Weasley's just constantly like, man, I bet it's some new kind of magic that nobody's ever heard of, like some like it's gonna be like a magic bomb, and I'm like,
Right.
No, it's obviously not gonna be. It's gonna be something much more subtle and grandiose.
And it's a prophecy.
Yeah, it's a prophet. It's love.
Stupid.
And that's the thing with Grindelwald, is like, Grindelwald's power isn't the fact that he can do more amazing magic than anybody else, because everybody can do pretty much good magic. Like, yeah, the Elder Wand might make him better at magic, but what his power is convincing people to be on his side. And I think they did a really good job of showing that. And I think that Grindelwald is, like, the one good thing about that movie.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I feel like that is a compelling point. Like, that was the main thing I picked up from him, was that he was a charismatic and persuasive individual. But it's just like...
But at the same time, you want to see him blowing buildings apart. Like, I get it.
Yeah, because
like, I get it. I absolutely get it.
The only person who can stop you is Dumbledore. Okay?
Show us why. Show us why.
Yeah, stop telling me. Just show us.
That was how I felt about Voldemort for 7 movies.
Same. All he did was push his wand and, like, say Avada Kedavra. But it's like, anyone can do that.
What a silly problem. And he couldn't even do it better than everyone else. He was killed by Harry.
100%, I 100% agree with that. And I get the Potter books and the movies, and we have this opportunity to, like, have this beautiful thing in the world that we can just analyze to death. And, like, I get it. But at the same time, I want to see Voldemort blow some buildings apart. I want to see Grindelwald, like, blow Paris up with some magic.
Well, he did. He did the Fiend Fire.
And that was awesome.
That's not
that was like the best piece of
really
evil magic
cool.
that's happened in a Harry Potter movie.
And then Nicholas Flamel showed up for some reason.
Yeah.
What? Ooh, throwback Potter character. He would have been alive at this point.
Okay. That was the point I've been trying to make this whole time. Is I thought that this movie that we just reviewed, Wreck-It Ralph 2, Ralph Breaks the Internet, did a very good job of being fan servicey without, like, feeling fan servicey.
Yep.
Yeah.
It never pushed over the line. Where
Like,
it
I
felt
wasn't-
like it was forced.
It was never cringy.
Ooh, it did at one point when C-3PO showed up. I was like,
No, I loved it.
I see
The only time
the
only
hate-
thing I thought was cringy was the Rick Roll thing.
oh, I didn't stay for that. So bing, bang, boom.
Well, anyway, we should probably go ahead and wrap up. Tyler's house is exploding.
Yeah.
This has been a delightful conversation, gents. This episode comes out Thursday. It is currently Monday, so
Isaac, any promotion you can do in a video or anything like that would really super
I'll
help us
add
out.
some stakes to it for you, Watso. Currently, you are our number 4 most downloaded episode of all time. Okay,
Wow.
Number 4. You're the lowest of the Harry Potter episodes, and they are all the top episodes. So you're our
Fair
number.
enough.
You're our number 4 all time, right above Seamus, and with Incredibles 2. So the challenge to you is to get your people to download the show and beat all of those.
Mobilize the troops.
So we called in a ringer on this one. We called him the Wreck-It Ralph Scholar for Wreck-It Ralph movie, and it was a delightful conversation. I'm so glad we had this conversation. I will go back and watch Wreck-It Ralph 1, and I will report back with my thoughts.
Yeah. You can find information to get in touch with Ethan and myself and Isaac all in the description below. I would tell you what they all are, but it's going to be much easier to just click
Should
a
I
link.
read Seamus's YouTube URL again?
No, you should not. Just give us a little sign off, and I need an A phrase real quick. Give me something.
I don't know. Your job.
That's not good. No.
Did somebody say something with an A? Is it an important quote with an A? I have no idea.
I'm looking.
Tyler, why are we not subscribed to Tessa Netting on YouTube?
Me watching? I don't know. I follow her on Instagram or on Facebook.
Well, I just noticed this.
All right, I got something.
Thank you guys for listening to another wonderful episode of Bacon and Eggs. It's been a lot of fun to record. I have been Ethan Edgehill. He's been Tyler Carlin, and him up there in the Great White North with all the snow has been Isaac Carlson, aka WotsoVideos. Thank you for listening, and until next week, arrivederci.
Oh, come on. Princesses and cartoon characters? Lame. Ethan, do you have your script in front of you?
Nope. Which script is it? El Scripto
El
number
Scripto
7?
number 7.
Yeah, okay. I got it. Your writing's a little here, but
What?
it's like made and then on the next line, but 3 tabs over. 127,442,373, and then like tab worldwide.
Ooh, I'm glad I'm already laughing. That's good news.